Day 5. Time to go home. We left in the morning so we could take our time getting to the 10:45 p.m. ferry sailing. There was a storm expected to hit the country, so we hoped to get to the ferry before that set in. We chose an inland route to experience more of the famed South Island roads and to avoid all the roadworks on the coast. It was quite cold leaving Christchurch, so we stopped in Amberley to put on all our warm clothing and have a hot coffee.
But just consciously short shifting.
Cold extremities weren't our only problem. We had been aware of an issue with the Triumph over the previous few days, where the engine would occasionally cut out. But there was only one chance to get it to Wellington, so we had to just hope that it wouldn't get any worse.
But you feel it. It's not a
I rode it first because I've had my fair share of experience with problematic engines and electrics. The issue did indeed get worse. The engine had cut out on me 11 times between our accommodation and the cafe. Sometimes it would crash start itself back to life. Sometimes I had to turn the ignition right off and back on, or use the starter. Other times it was so stubborn that I had to pull over and work at it a bit.
What's that?
It just died about 4 or 5 times from there to here.
What, this did?
Yeah.
I was like, 5k? That's almost one per k. How many k's you got to go?
One time I actually learned straight and then restarted itself. Other times I turned the key. Not to worry.
We stopped again at a campsite to reassess our options.
That time.
13.
The last stop. Look at that wiring diagram again.
We really just had two options: get out some tools and start taking the bike apart, or keep going. We chose the latter. I handed the bike over to one of the others and we got back on the road. Through experimentation, I discovered that the engine generally cut out when closing the throttle immediately after significant acceleration. That indicated that the issue was physical and probably related to wiring. So armed with that knowledge, we knew to ride it as smoothly as possible and stay in a high gear to minimise torque. That would hopefully reduce engine failure to a manageable amount. The whole area seemed to have a lot of bumblebees, which is nice to see. Although they seem to hang around the roads a lot, which is unfortunate. They feel a bit like paintballs when you collide with them on the open road. We had a break at a cafe in Lewis Pass, where a guy pulled over for a rest and chatted with us. He told us there was a triumph meeting of around 100 riders about to descend on the location, so we made a hasty departure. Our next big stop was at Nelson. The beach was wildly popular, so we cruised around to have a beer in the city before continuing on to Blenheim for dinner. At this point I got a bit bored and felt like the Triumph was wasting the bendy road, so I went ahead for a bit of fun. Sadly, we had already passed the best corners. After petrol and dinner in Blenheim, we just had one final stretch to go in the falling light. met another rider when we queued to board the ferry and chatted with him during the crossing. He's a New Zealander living in Japan, and every summer he comes back and does a tour of the whole country. Back in Wellington, we rolled off the ferry at around 2:30 AM and all went our separate ways off into the sunset.